The water that fills your glass every morning used to be clear. In Millbrook, Pennsylvania, a town of 8,000 people nestled between two rivers, that simple fact became a question nobody could answer. Over 10 years, this town didn't just expose a public health crisis. It uncovered how ordinary decisions by ordinary people built a trap they couldn't escape. What happens when the place you live becomes the thing that hurts you? How does a whole town accidentally poison itself? Millbrook was built on promise. In the 1950s, chemical manufacturing meant jobs, tax revenue, and a future. The Riverside Chemical Works opened on the eastern edge of town, employing nearly 600 people at its peak. Nobody imagined that choice, made by town leaders, a corporation, and citizens who needed work, would reshape every life in ways they couldn't see coming. The story of Millbrook is not unique. It's the story of hundreds of American towns that traded safety for stability. But what makes Millbrook different is what happened when the truth finally surfaced, and how the town was forced to reckon with 60 years of decisions made in darkness. This matters now because the same patterns are still happening in places you've never heard of, and because it teaches us what to notice before it's too late. Riverside Chemical Works broke ground on March 14, 1957. The company promised clean industry, stable employment, and investment in the town's future. The Millbrook Town Council voted unanimously in favor. Local newspapers ran cheerful headlines. Progress comes to Millbrook. Within 6 months, 300 people worked there. By 1960, that number had doubled. For 2 decades, Riverside Chemical operated with minimal oversight, manufacturing perchloroethylene, PCE, a degreaser used in dry cleaning and industrial processes, became their main product. The company was profitable, the town was stable. Nobody noticed the underground storage tanks aging beneath the factory floor. Nobody measured what seeped into the soil. The groundwater aquifer that fed Millbrook's well system lay directly below the facility. This was not secret. It was simply not discussed. In early 1989, a routine water quality test conducted by the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Quality found something unusual: trace chemicals in Millbrook's drinking water. The levels were small, below federal action thresholds at the time, but they were there. The source was eventually traced to Riverside Chemical. The company acknowledged minimal environmental impact in a statement to local media. The Town Water Authority held a public meeting. Around 200 people attended. They were told the situation was under review and likely manageable. Many people left reassured. Others felt uneasy but had no data to act on. By 1992, PCE levels in the water supply had tripled. The Pennsylvania DEP issued an advisory recommending that pregnant women and children under 5 purchase bottled water. This was the first official acknowledgement that something was genuinely wrong. The town's water authority started planning a new filtration system. Riverside Chemical issued a statement saying they were cooperating fully with investigations and had implemented new containment protocols. By 1995, the contamination had spread further than anyone expected. PCE was found not just in the main water system, but in several private wells scattered across town. Families living just outside the town proper, who relied on their own groundwater, started noticing chemical smells, skin irritation, and unusual illnesses. One family, the Kowalskis, reported that their well water tasted like metal and that their 2 children developed persistent rashes. They were among the first to connect their symptoms to the water. Most other families didn't yet have that connection. In 1997, an environmental law firm filing a lawsuit against Riverside Chemical requested internal company documents. What emerged was troubling. Internal memos from 1985 showed that Riverside's own engineers had flagged potential groundwater risk related to aging storage tanks. One engineer wrote, "Current containment measures may be insufficient for long-term storage of PCE. Recommend upgrade within 24 months." That upgrade never happened. The memo was filed away. No action was taken for another 4 years. The Millbrook Water Authority, tasked with protecting public health, faced a dilemma. Testing and treatment cost money. The town's budget was tight. In minutes from a 1993 Water Board meeting, one official noted, "We can't afford a full remediation system. We'll have to hope the problem stabilizes." They were hoping instead of acting. Hope is not a water safety plan. By 1996, the Water Authority had installed a basic filtration system that reduced, but did not eliminate, PCE. Levels dropped from dangerous to manageable. Tests showed the water was now safe to drink, according to federal standards of that era. But safe by law and actually safe can be different things. Some families, unconvinced, switched to bottled water. Others had no choice but to trust the tests. The company maintained consistent positions through the 1990s and into the 2000s. Their public statements emphasized they were cooperating with all investigations, their operations met legal standards at the time, and the contamination was a legacy issue with industry-wide causes. They pointed out that PCE had been widely used in manufacturing and dry cleaning across America. Other towns had similar problems. In a sense, this was true. However, internal documents suggested the company knew about tank deterioration years before they disclosed it. This gap between what they said publicly and what they knew privately became central to later legal arguments. Not all residents trusted the Water Authority's reassurances. Some families reported health problems, respiratory issues, rashes, headaches, and suspected the water. Others pointed out that coincidence isn't proof. Some people had lived in Millbrook their entire lives drinking the water and felt fine. Why panic? This divide split neighborhoods. It turned friends into skeptics. Think of a town's water system like a body's immune system. If you poison one part slowly enough, the body adapts. For a while. It compensates. But adaptation isn't the same as health. Eventually, the system breaks down. Environmental toxicologist Dr. Robert Chen explained it plainly. PCE doesn't announce itself. You don't get acute poisoning like you would from a gas leak. Instead, you get chronic exposure, low levels, over years, affecting multiple organ systems. By the time people notice patterns, the damage is already done. Millbrook's story reveals a pattern that repeats across America. Decisions made in the past, with incomplete information, create crises in the present that incomplete information can't solve. The town didn't intentionally poison itself. Rather, it accepted small risks repeatedly, accepting a factory without demanding safety details, accepting reassurance without demanding proof, accepting compliance with outdated safety standards without questioning whether those standards were adequate. Each decision alone seemed reasonable. Together, they created catastrophe. Why does this matter beyond Millbrook? Because the same pattern is happening now in towns across the Rust Belt, in industrial corridors, and in agricultural regions where fertilizer runoff contaminates groundwater. The difference is information. Millbrook had to wait decades for contamination to become obvious. Today, we have tools to detect problems earlier. The question is whether we use them before crisis hits or after. Here's what we know. Millbrook's Water Authority could achieve complete PCE removal within the next 3 to 5 years through advanced treatment technologies like granular activated carbon and air stripping. If funding is secured and infrastructure upgrades are prioritized, the town could emerge with demonstrably safe water and a clear health trend reversal. The technology exists. The barrier is funding and sustained political will.